What is that?
Seals.
Mom.
Harbor seals.
They're coming out this way. Oh, bird, go away. Where'd you go, little seals?
Looks like they went in. Other side of the boat there.
Quit feeding those things. It's all well and great until somebody's balcony gets pooped on.
Yep. Oh, he just pooped too.
Hate those things. Oh, where'd the seals go? Oh, there was something right out there that just went under. Little boogers only put their little snouts up, so it's hard to see them. There might be one right there. Can't tell if it's seaweed or a critter. Yeah, it might just be seaweed. Yeah.
It's right there too.
Buildings that you look around here, the Paramount Empress, the Parliament buildings over there, the steamship terminal. He took up with an 18-year-old lounge singer and moved back to England, from Victoria. Then his mistress had another affair with their chauffeur, and they eventually plotted to murder him and succeeded by killing him with a croquet mallet. I'm talking really good British melodrama stuff here. So, like I was saying, Francis Rathbury, then he dies. There was that big blue bridge, drawbridge. So that bridge was designed by the same people who designed the Golden Gate Bridge, and that bridge was put in first. So that's our one-off. They're now taking it out. That won't be put out.
So what year was it?
I don't know, but it's about 80 years old, so give or take. It's starting to fall down. It needs to be taken out. A lot bigger when it was the original part. You look around, see all of these red you got the red street lamps and the red little bike posts and stuff like that. If you're ever walking around Victoria, anywhere where you see these red kind of posts and areas, that's the original Chinatown. Because while we were sitting at that light, that's actually Johnson Street. That was the Johnson Street Creek. Anything on the other side of the Johnson Street Creek was Chinatown. Now, Chinatown was so big in Victoria because what happened was, during the gold rush, lots and lots of Chinese internationals came up from San Francisco after the California gold rush, came to Victoria, because they knew what all the prospectors wanted. They knew they wanted, the pots and pans and clothes and donkeys, and they would outfit everybody. But the real thing that they really were good at selling, and the real thing that the prospectors really wanted was opium and brothels. So if you just look up there, you'll see those flashing shells right there, that Fantan Cafe. You can kind of see it around the corner there. We'll actually ride by it as well. So just down there is something called Fantan Alley, and Fantan Alley is known has the distinction, I should say, as is the narrowest street in Canada, 32 inches wide. See why we don't ride bikes. So all over Chinatown, like Feeder Alley right here, Fantan Alley, there's Dragon Alley, which just goes into these buildings here. Those are all original alleyways that were a part of Chinatown. Why they have these alleyways and why they're so small is what they would do is they would have these alleyways, they would post sentries at each side, and then they would have the brothels and the opium dens in the middle of them. Therefore, they could keep whoever they wanted out, and whoever they wanted in. Funny little story about Sherwood. I don't know if you guys noticed when we were riding through, did you notice anything about all the utility poles in any of the free space? Some people do, some people don't. Telephone poles. You guys like to call them utility poles. We call them telephone poles. It's one of those. So this one right here, so everything's painted in front. Everything's painted in front. And what happened, and the reason of that is because, you'll see it too while we continue to ride through Prinwood, is a few years ago what happened is they were having a really big problem with tagging. People are going out spray paint. And it was they were kind of fed up with it. They didn't really know what to do about it. And they had all these plans. We could just, paint back over it with just regular paint and then tag back over it. So someone came up with the genius idea that there's kind of an unwritten rule when it comes to graffiti artists and taggers, and you are not allowed to ever tag or write over anybody else's artwork. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be a Mona Lisa or it can be another person's graffiti art, but you can never paint over somebody else's paint. So what the community board did was they got a whole bunch of old paint from everybody. Everybody brought their old paint to the community board here, which is just around the corner. You could go in, you could grab paint, and then you just painted all the free spaces around your house. So if your garage or the telephone poles and everything. So if you go through this whole neighborhood here, everything, the free space, telephone poles, everything's painted, and you'll see some pretty funny ones and some really cool ones. There's a lot of individual ones as well. And it was such a popular program, and it worked so well that other places in Victoria have put it into place. They also have a community Belle theater right here, Old Church, turned into a really beautiful theater, which is really cool. Great sounding theater, right? That kind of stuff. And then there's the Furry Inn, which is across the street here, which is a local inn and bar. So it's a pretty cool place to hang out. Just outside of Victoria, most people don't know it's here, which is really fun. Robert Dunsmuir. Right there is the area that he is from in Scotland, the region, not the town, but just kind of the region that he was from. People don't know exactly if that's why it's called their capital, but they have a pretty good idea that that's what it was for. I'll stand behind you guys so you can get some pictures. So you want my ugly mug in your picture.
It loses its purpose when the cars are in there anyway.
So Robert Dunsmuir has a cool kind of rag to riches, back to rags story. Robert Dunsmuir, in the early 1800s, was a coal miner in Scotland. He was just a regular coal miner. He was working for, $2-3 a day, not doing anything special. 24 hours before he got on the boat, his uncle actually convinced him to come over to Canada. So 24 hours before he jumped on the boat, his uncle said, "Come with me to Canada, we'll do some mining. It's kind of the new frontier." So he comes over to Canada, he lands in Victoria, and he moves up to a place called Nanaimo. Nanaimo is about a 2-hour drive from Victoria, and there's lots of coal mining that used to go on up there. There still is a little bit that still goes on, but back then there was lots and lots of coal mining going on. Robert Dunsmuir and his uncle, they just do the same thing that they were doing in Scotland for a few years. Nothing too crazy. They're just working for, $2, $3, $4 a day, just kind of slugging away. But after coal mining for a few years here on the island, what Robert Dunsmuir kind of notices is that the way that they used to coal mine back then is they would go into the coal deposits, they would get as much coal as they possibly could, and then they would move on to the next kind of coal deposit before the next miners got there, because they wanted to get as much coal as they could, as possibly. Just kind of hit as quickly as you could, possibly. That's one of the reasons it was so expensive. It was budgeted at $500,000. So if you can think about that, that's the same as the Parliament buildings down in the Inner Harbour there. Reasons for that is the rock wasn't so expensive, but they did things like curved glass all over the place. Curved glass is super expensive these days. I know that for a fact. My dad's in the window business, and it is not cheap. So back then in the it was built started them in the 1860s. So to have curved glass would be crazy expensive. Lots of little things on the inside too. Mostly everything on the inside, all the wood, all of the inner kind of areas, the paintings were all brought in from overseas. A lot of things brought over from India. So yeah, that's how they built it. Unfortunately, Robert Dunsmuir, like I was saying, he has a rag to riches, back to rag story. So Robert Dunsmuir didn't get to see the castle finished. He actually died a few years before they kind of finished it off. The architect who designed it also passed away before it was finished. Now, Robert Dunsmuir also had 2 sons, and he had promised them in his will that he would leave his castle, his dealings, all of his businesses, all of his money, everything to his 2 sons to run when he passed away. Right before he passed away, he changed his mind and he left everything to his wife. The sons were obviously a little ticked off. One, so much so that he never had anything to do with the family ever again. He actually built his own castle on the other side of the water. You can't see it from here, unfortunately. Everybody look. It's about 20 kilometers outside of town. It's called Hatley Castle. It's known as Royal Roads University now. It's a military college. If you've ever seen the X-Men movies, it's Professor Xavier's School for the Gifted. That shot that they take when they go over the lagoon and the big house pops up, that's Hatley Castle. That's called the Esquimalt Lagoon. Robert Dunsmuir's wife has no idea how to manage a coal and railway business. She has no idea how to manage a massive 42-room, 3,400 square feet castle. Within a few years, she loses the castle to the bank. And she goes broke because there's so much upkeep with the castle. Yeah, he chops up the castle, chops up the land of the castle, starts selling it off. Then around the 1930s, kind of come around, and there's an economic downturn. He's not able to sell off the land as easily as he was before. So he has a great idea. I am going to run a contest. If you buy a plot of land off me, you get your name put in a hat. When all the land is sold, we'll draw a name in the hat. The winner gets the castle. So free fridge with your purchase. So a gentleman pulls his name out of the castle eventually, name out of the hat eventually, wins the castle. Of course, he loses the castle. What does he have to do with the castle? He loses the castle back to the bank. And then, until about the 1980s, the castle went through a whole whackload of different hands. It was a conservatory of music for a really long time. It was a school for unwedded mothers. It was a girls' school. The Board of Education owned it for a while. It was a hospital during World War II. And then in the late 1980s, the Craig Garrett Castle Society was formed. It's a private society with private donors. It's a pride of ours. So this is it has a couple asterisks behind it, but it's a pretty cool asterisk if you think about it. This is the largest freestanding single log totem pole in the world. 127 feet. So it's one tree.
What tribe took it from?
So the tribe that is around the area that you've been in Victoria is called Songhees Nation. Songhees Nation carved this totem pole. They don't have their own totem pole. This totem pole was carved by a gentleman by the name of Mungo Martin. Mungo Martin and his brothers carved this. Mungo Martin has the distinction of bringing totem pole carving back into the public eye. Him and his brothers carved this in the 1950s. It represents all great warriors from the land, so that doesn't just have to be Victoria or kind of this area. It's kind of Canada. It was carved after World War II as kind of a distinction for everybody, which is really cool.